The next thing I wanted to show you is something that I actually use often with the kids and for myself, is when you insert a table. So you would click the cursor to where you want to put the table, and again, insert. So right under image, we have table. And right here, you would choose how many columns you would want, how many rows you would want, and it would insert it for you. Now, there's a couple of features that sometimes with a table, after you type the text in and everything, that perhaps something doesn't fit, it doesn't look right. These are the basic tools of a table. If you move something over and then you're like, oh, great, so now I'm going to have to do this by hand and try to figure it out, there's a much easier way because these are not of equal widths. If you know for a fact that this is where you want the first column to end, you can simply highlight the remaining columns. And when you right click, you see distribute columns, it will distribute them evenly for you. So even if we moved this over even more, I would highlight my 3 columns, I would distribute my columns, and there you go. Now let's say my one row was bigger than the other, and then maybe this one was here, or I don't know why that didn't work, like over here. So these are out of proportion. I would want to distribute these 3 rows evenly. So therefore, that neat little feature is distribute, and wherever you have the text end, you can just distribute the rest of the columns. What if I want to reset the column? All you would have to simply do is highlight the entire table. You would distribute your rows and you would distribute your columns. And it's almost like a table reset. Now, what happens if you need an extra row or 2? However many more rows you would need, you can actually highlight that number of rows. You can Control C for copy if you wanted to. However, you could right click in the blue and you could insert 3 rows above or 3 rows below. I'm going to put the 3 rows below. So now you just expanded your table by those 3 rows that you needed. And same thing, if you needed, I need one more column. So I'm going to highlight that last column. I'm going to right click and I'm going to insert a column to the right. So obviously it will make the columns smaller, but there you have it, your extra column. How do I apply the same size font or color and so forth? Maybe the first column, I would really want things bolded. So I would just highlight the first column and then I can do Control B for bold. So anything I type in that column will be bolded. Perhaps the second column, I would want everything italicized. So I would do Control I for italicized, and then anything I type would be italicized. And the same thing if you follow the pattern, if you need things underlined, perhaps in the first row as your column titles, then you would do that as well with Control U for Control U for underlining the titles. And you can also play around with the table that if you wanted a final column to maybe be filled with a certain color, all you would do is highlight that color. One of my favorite tools is the paint bucket. The paint bucket is a background color or a filler. So what you would do is you would click on that and maybe I would like this pretty purple color in that last row. So you can do all fancy things like this.